Senator Collins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, Doctor, I appreciate your willingness to serve and was impressed as a result of our conversation in my office. Let me ask you, you've had a lot of questions about the Vaccine Advisory Committee. Let me just ask you a simple, straightforward question, and that is, if you are confirmed, will you reinstate meetings of the committee?
The VRPAC committee will be meeting if confirmed, and I'm commissioner, yes.
Thank you. In February, we learned that hundreds of probationary employees at FDA were dismissed. And this really concerns me because we need a flow of young new scientists and researchers, especially since we're seeing retirements and resignations. And ironically, more than half of the FDA employees are funded under various industry user fee agreements. So there is revenue coming into the FDA to pay for these employees. If confirmed, will you, not an outside force, but you, have full authority over FDA staffing decisions?
Senator, if confirmed, as Commissioner, you have my commitment that I will do an assessment of the staffing and personnel at the agency. I have not been involved in any of the decisions regarding any of the personnel changes recently, but if confirmed, you have my commitment that I will do an assessment.
I just want to make sure that you're the one doing that assessment. I'm not saying that the staffing level is perfect, and I think it's helpful for a new commissioner to do an assessment, but I want that person to do it. And it sounds like you are committing to that. Is that correct?
I will do an assessment. I commit to that. Yes, Senator.
One of the best ways to lower the cost of prescription drugs is by promoting more market competition. And one way that we can do this is by making it easier for generic and biosimilar drugs to come to the market. As part of a broader bill that Senator Shaheen and I have introduced to help lower the cost of insulin, we've included a provision to create a new competitive biosimilar pathway and therapy designation at FDA, under which eligible products for which there is inadequate biosimilar competition now could achieve expedited review. I worked with the FDA in the last Congress to develop this provision, and I look forward to continuing to push this concept so that it becomes law. Do you support the concept of a new expedited pathway for biosimilars to compete, for example, with branded insulin?
First of all, Senator, you've taken a strong interest in the FDA, and I very much appreciate it, and I really enjoyed our time together. I've learned from you, and thank you for your leadership on the Diabetes Caucus. It's something, of course, very close to my area of medicine. I am a big believer that we need to figure out a way to get biosimilars approved quicker without cutting corners on the scientific review. And it is one of several strategies that the FDA can do to try to alleviate the problems of high drug prices, inadequate competition or underperformance of competition, and the drug shortage in the United States. Also, other strategies could include the way we look at generic drugs, moving medications to over-the-counter. Does naloxone really need to be a prescription-only medication? Does an EpiPen need to be prescription-only? If they can be over-the-counter and we can feel confident about public safety when with those products on the shelf at a pharmacy, it would force the companies to put a price on the shelf. And I do believe in price transparency. It will have an effect on the entire marketplace. So thank you, Senator.
Thank you. And let me just end by saying that I am delighted with your interest in islet cell therapy for individuals with type 1. There are clinical trials underway, and I think that is such an exciting development. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Senator.
Thank you, Senator Collins. And now Senator Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning, Doctor, and congratulations to you and your family on your nomination.
Good morning. Thank you, Senator.
President Trump has promised to help lower costs, but prescription drug prices are once again skyrocketing for Granite Staters and all Americans. In 2025, drug makers have increased the list prices of over 500 common medications. Dr. Makary, when we met, you and I discussed the importance of increasing generic drug competition. If confirmed, will you work with me to speed the approval of generic drugs at FDA to lower drug costs for patients?
Senator, first of all, I very much enjoyed our meeting together. The answer to your question is an emphatic yes, and I would add to that I would love to work with Congress to address the way that patent law has enabled patent thickening, which makes it more difficult for biosimilars and even some generics to come to market because they got to navigate so many lawsuits and letter of the patent law.
Well, and this is something that Senator Paul and I have actually been working on, and we have a bill called the Increasing Transparency in Generic Drug Applications Act, which would allow the FDA to communicate more transparently with generic drug manufacturers in order to make more low-cost prescription drugs available for patients. So the bill would save taxpayers over $1 billion and has bipartisan, bicameral agreement. So I'm going to urge all my colleagues to look at it. I've enjoyed working with Senator Paul and his team on it. Dr. Makary, you and I also discussed mifepristone when we met, a medication that has been used for decades in abortion care and miscarriage care. Now, during our meeting, you mentioned you weren't familiar with the drug, and I followed up by providing you with decades of the safety data, and you said you're a data guy, you would review it. Have you reviewed the data, and do you agree that mifepristone is safe and effective?
Thank you, Senator, for sending me that homework to read, and I did read those articles, including and what I was referring to when I said I'm not familiar with it is I have, and I don't believe I said I was not familiar with it. What I said was I have not reviewed the totality of the data. I am very familiar with mifepristone, and I did review those studies, including 2 surveys of patients inquiring about telemedicine, a 2018 National Academy of Medicine review.
Right.
I'm a member of the National Academy of Medicine, but was not involved in that particular review, but I did review that document.
So I shared with you that study from the National Academies where scientists looked at, just so people know, over 100 studies of medication abortion and found that the literature is clear that mifepristone is safe and effective. And then, also we've had the discussion about the REMS process for mifepristone. In 2021, the FDA looked again based on a citizen petition asking them to review the safety of mifepristone. And I think, just so people get a sense, this is the report back from the FDA about their review and about their modification of the language in the REMS process. And their review, again, was that it is safe and effective. And I think what you're hearing from a lot of us as we ask you questions about this, and just, so the public can understand, there's lots and lots of data here that supports the safety and efficacy of mifepristone and supports its efficacy in its current, under current law and its safety. So I think the concern you're hearing is not about whether you will follow an ongoing REMS process with any medication and look at the most current data. That's what the scientific process is about. The concern is whether you are going to unilaterally overrule the data that currently exists for political purposes and for political reasons. And that's what we're looking for your reassurance on. You have told us you are an independent scientist. I believe that. You have a very distinguished career as a physician. But we need to know that when you say you're an independent scientist, that's really what you mean. And then when the politics get heated around abortion, that you won't abandon that independence.
Senator, you have my commitment that once I'm in office, I will do a review of the data. I have I have no preconceived plans to make changes to the mifepristone policy, and I do plan to follow the law and the regulation of the REMS to look at ongoing data. It could be that there could be a drug-drug interaction that we could identify.
I understand that, but what I am looking for is an understanding that the current state of science, in the process that you have been a participant in throughout your entire career, and that others up here have also participated in, that you will follow the science as it is currently developed and not unilaterally overrule scientists because you're under political pressure to do that.
Senator, if you look at my track record, I have never been afraid to speak my honest scientific opinion, and I have no preconceived plans to make changes on that medication.
Well, I wish you were hedging a little bit less today. Thank you.